What's up, Titans Nation? Welcome to the Titans Traffic Update. I am your host, Gannon Cornley, and I am so excited to bring you guys this platform. This is something that has been on my mind for quite some time. I've been wanting to make Tennessee Titans content, or really just sports content in general, for quite a while. I'm a former, or I have a bachelor's degree in journalism. I used to do broadcast journalism for a while. I'm a former college football player. I played cornerback and receiver at Missouri Western State. Football's always been a passion of mine, and a big passion of that started with my fandom for the Tennessee Titans. No, I do not live in Nashville like a lot of my fellow Titan fans. I actually live in Kansas City, so by some people, I live in enemy territory. But yeah, I grew up right here in Kansas City, Missouri. But I've been a big Tennessee Titans fan ever since Steve McNair was on the team. One of my favorite ever college football players was Vince Young. And so once he got drafted by the Titans, I kind of solidified my overall fandom for the team. We all know it's been a long ride, a lot of disappointments, but at the end of the day, there's nothing that could derail my overall love for this team. And so there are a lot of good, I think, content creators around the Tennessee Titans. But ultimately, I think there's some room, some space for myself and other people as well. If this is something that you wanted to do, I think there's plenty of space for all of us to kind of bounce ideas back and forth with each other. And ultimately, I'm starting this simply because I just want a space where fans can come and we can talk and have real football conversations, mainly evolving around Tennessee Titans. We can talk about other NFL stuff or other sports just in general as well. But mainly I want to focus it around the Tennessee Titans. So ultimately, that's what I'm getting started here. And I'm very happy to be joining this space. Some of you have already followed me on Twitter. Again, follow me at Titans Traffic Update on Twitter. I do have an Instagram as well. I believe it's the same handle, Titans Traffic Update as well there. So I'll try to be more consistent with putting out YouTube videos. I'm pretty active on Twitter. That's my main source right now where I kind of interact with you guys. But ultimately, man, we're all fans of this team. We all want to see them do well, and ultimately, I want to create a very positive space. So there's always going to be differences of opinion, but ultimately, what I kind of see for the future of this show is, doing eventually live shows where people comment, mid-show, we can have a quick sidebar conversation or whatever we need to have involving around this team. But ultimately, I just want this space where fans can come, not feel judged. Again, we're gonna have difference of opinion. We may have arguments. There are things I think there are Titan fans that say are just the dumbest thing. There are things I'm gonna say you think are gonna be the dumbest thing ever. But ultimately, that's where we, come and try to level each other out. So that's why I created this platform. So again, enough about me, but that's just a simple little intro what I'm going to be kind of doing again. So tell your friends, share this, like the show. I'll be trying to do little small reels too. So if you don't have time for a full episode, I'm still bouncing back and forth with exactly how long I want each episode to be. I'm just kind of just hitting record here and get started. There's no better time than right now. So if there's anything that's been holding you back from whatever you want to do, wherever your dreams are, man, just go ahead and do it and you'll figure the rest out later. So that's what I'm doing tonight. So this is episode one, Titans Traffic Update. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Coming up for today, I'm going to be speaking about just the offseason as a whole. A lot of new changes coming for the Titans this offseason. I'm going to talk a little bit about the T'Vondre Sweat trade that just happened a week ago. The reaction to just the combine in general, how that may shape up, how that might reshape things for the Titans for the upcoming draft and or free agency as well. Potentially running back at number 4 is what we're hearing right now. So I'm going to touch a little bit on that. Free agency, as far as the wide receiver frenzy, there's two names in particular that I know a lot of us want to talk about. And then ultimately, just we have a jersey and logo reveal coming up on March 12th, just a couple days after my birthday. So I'm very excited to just talk about all those things with you guys. And again, if there's any topics at all that you like my opinion on, things that you guys would like to join a new space on and have a conversation about, I'm all for it. I'm all about the positivity. That's ultimately what this is about. We're going to laugh together, cry together, be hyped together. I think there's been no better time to be a Titans fan than right now, at least within the last few years for sure. We've had a lot of disappointments here lately. So with the new quarterback, new stadium, new jerseys, new logo, new coach, theoretically new GM, just so much newness. This is the perfect time to join the bandwagon. So let's get it and let's kind of get right into the show. So first and foremost, just talking about this offseason as a whole. Before I kind of started to create this new platform, a big thing that a big thing that I was on was getting the head coach right, right? So we obviously, I was on team. I didn't hate the Vrabel firing, so I'll be first on record. I did not hate it. I did think that it was, I was nervous, but I didn't hate it. I just felt that Vrabel, once we lost to the Bengals in the divisional round after being the 1 seed. I just felt that that was the ceiling. We went to the AFC Championship game on kind of like a Cinderella run. We were the 6 seed for a while, and I just felt that once AJ Brown was off the team, which was just, if anybody knows me, I cannot stand John Robinson, as all of us I'm sure do. Cannot stand that man. Once AJ Brown was off the team, and Tannehill kind of just started to show some age. And then we didn't really have a succession plan at quarterback until we drafted Malik Willis. Then there's Will Levis and all that. It kind of started to spiral out of control. And so I didn't hate the idea of when they fired Vrabel. He had won only 13 games in his last whatever the stat is. We had blown a massive lead. I believe it was the 2022 season. We had 7 wins. We were like 7-3, 7-4, and we never won another game. We ended up losing to the Jags in the final game of the regular season. Then next year we followed with just 6 wins, and we had Levis, but it just didn't seem right. So ultimately a change I felt kind of needed. Ultimately, I'll raise my hand, like, wrong. Like, we were very wrong to fire Vrabel, or at least in favor of to appease Rand Carthon and then bring in Brian Callahan. That's really where the mess up is. I feel like we would have been okay had we hired a Mac McDonald who was in the same class as Brian Callahan. But I think we fired a guy. We ended up hiring someone who's one of the worst head coaches I think I've seen in my entire life. So when you follow up a really good coach, because Vrabel is a really good coach, I just think he took us to our ceiling, and I didn't see us winning a Super Bowl. And so you go from that to, bringing in Brian Callahan was an absolute failure. We had to get it right? So Robert Saleh was very high on my list. I will be honest, I definitely wanted John Harbaugh, and I wanted Kevin Stefanski. I know a lot of people were mad about or didn't like his record, obviously, with the Cleveland Browns, but that was a 2-time Coach of the Year, took the Browns to the playoffs multiple times. They won a playoff game with Baker Mayfield. I just felt that he brings an offensive prowess and can be that CEO type of guy that Brian Callahan couldn't. So those were definitely my 2 options. But Robert Saleh was certainly a 3rd or 4th. I didn't mind Mark McCarthy, but I think Robert Saleh in the end was the right go of it once we couldn't get John Harbaugh or Kevin Stefanski. So, but now after really looking at it and seeing who those guys brought in to be on the coaching staff, I like the Robert Saleh hire even more. If you told me that we were going to get John Harbaugh, but just to bring in, Matt Nagy as the offensive coordinator and Brian Callahan as the quarterback's coach, I don't think he would have remained as the quarterback's coach. But you get what I'm saying. And then just Denard Wilson is the defensive coordinator. Basically, all he would have been doing is the guy that nobody wanted in Matt Nagy would have been calling plays for Cam Ward, and we would have kept Denard Wilson and then get some guy maybe even less deserving than Brian Callahan at quarterback's coach. So, ultimately after seeing that and then seeing basically Kevin Stefanski just brought his entire Cleveland Browns staff over to him in Atlanta. So basically he's just trying to blame the organization and not grow really as a coach at all. He's just saying, I'm going to bring back Bill Callahan even, who didn't really help us out a ton. And so after seeing that, but you get Brian Daboll, who's been a head coach, Gus Bradley, who's been a head coach. These are guys who have also been obviously offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators in their own right, along with Robert Saleh having experience as a head coach, as a play caller, all the things that the Brian Callahan regime did not have. You got to think that he had never called plays, also had never been a head coach before. Denard Wilson had never called defensive plays. Our special teams coordinator had never called plays. Colt Anderson, I believe was his name. You had 3 guys who had never called plays before, never been in their roles before, and you had a guy like Nick Holtz, who also had never been an offensive coordinator, nor ever really worked with Brian Callahan, except for like their time in Nebraska or something like that. So, there was so much newness and so much new to their roles. At least now we have a head coach who's been there, done that. He did not have very good success with the Jets. Who has? Is my question. I'll fire back at you. who's had success with the Jets. So yeah, it didn't go well. Was he a home run hire? No. But the guys that he brought in to help him and surround him, along with a lot of the position coaches who have been at their level before or higher before, you just gotta be super optimistic. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I really was okay with the Brian Callahan hire originally. He was an offensive guy. I'm like, thank God we're getting an offensive guy, dude who's worked with Joe Burrow and Peyton Manning and all these other guys. But I think experience was really what was the downfall. If you guys haven't heard Jeffrey Simmons' interview on Bussin' with the Boys with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton, it's a very good interview. It's very heartfelt. You kind of learn a lot more about Jeffrey Simmons the person, but he also talks a lot about what's going on, within the locker room and just the big differences between going from Mike Vrabel to Brian Callahan. And I think that Robert Saleh is going to bring kind of more of that Mike Vrabel feel, a player's coach. If you hear any former players of Robert Saleh talk about him, they absolutely adore him. So that's got to be extremely, extremely encouraging. And so I'm a big fan of the hire overall. I'm really happy that Mike Bergonzi did not go the Matt Nagy route. Another reason why I wanted to create this platform, I really feel like we as fans collectively came together and bullied the Titans into not hiring Matt Nagy. I think that would have been a disaster hire. He just is not. He wasn't even going to call plays. So then he would have had to hire someone else to call plays. He's going to try to be the CEO guy. And I feel like you got to get the first thing right. If you can't even call plays, how are you going to be the CEO type of guy? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to oversee the whole thing, like an Andy Reid, he can call plays and he can just be the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Matt Nagy wasn't even that good of an offensive play caller. So let alone, if you're not going to be calling plays, how are you going to be the CEO of this team? And so I just think that was too much. I like that Robert Saleh is going to be the main guy. And he's also something he didn't do in New York, which is call defensive plays. He felt like he was disconnected from his true love, which is calling defensive plays. So I think this is going to be great. Gus Bradley is a guy who can literally coach the defense. He used to be Robert Saleh's boss. He was a big part of kind of creating that Legion of Boom team in Seattle. He was kind of the orchestrator of it to the beginning before Dan Quinn took over. But yeah, like these are guys who've worked together, unlike the last regime. And so how could you not be excited about that? So ultimately, I already loved it, weeks ago. I think it's been about a month now since Robert Saleh was brought in. So how could you not love that? I'm super hyped about that. Next on the list, just with the newest news, T'Vondre Sweat recently just got traded for Jermaine Johnson, Robert Saleh, a fellow Robert Saleh guy. This is a guy who had 7.5 sacks back in 2023, a former first-round pick when Robert Saleh was the head coach of the New York Jets. Ultimately, this is not a super wow move. This is not a guy who's going to come in, I don't think, and have 14, 15 sacks this upcoming season. I don't think that's really his role, but he's just going to be he's a solid starter. And that's something I think the Titans really haven't had. Femi was just converting over to going from linebacker to an edge, so he wasn't really ready to start. Arden Key is a rotational backup in the NFL. We had the year before that, we had Harold Landry coming off of an injury. He was this year removed off an injury, and so I just feel like we haven't had like a really healthy starter in quite a while. So Jermaine Johnson is that. He's not going to be. He did make a Pro Bowl, but he is a guy who is a starter. He's starter quality. And so I think getting him is very important because you just never know how the draft is going to shape up. We don't know how Mike Bergonzi views these edge rushers, nor this free agent class. And so if he's not super impressed, or if he doesn't want to spend, even though the Titans have more money than God, my goodness, we have so much cap space. If he's not a big fan and doesn't want to give huge contracts to this edge class in free agency or spend the number 4 overall pick, then Jermaine Johnson is a perfect candidate for that. And I hear a lot of people are complaining. There was a lot of madness going on. Like, why would we trade T'Vondre Sweat for this? He was number 5 on PFF for interior defensive tackles. Listen, guys, he was a run-stuffing defensive tackle. I like Sweat. I had no beef with him. I thought he was fine. He didn't have any crazy off-the-field issues. He was a fun personality to be around. He had some good highlights. But, guys, he wasn't. What he was doing wasn't really contributing to the Titans' success. Since he's been here, we won 6 games in 2 years. The Titans were the 15th ranked run defense in the NFL last year. So yeah, him as an individual was a really, really good run stuffer. but he's not offering enough as a pass rusher. And the Titans weren't even that good against the run. So if you're already not going to be good against the run, and this guy is not offering enough pass rush help, we're not getting to the quarterback, so they're still throwing the ball all over us. If you watched any Titans game from last year, quarterbacks had all day to throw unless Jeffrey Simmons was going into hero ball mode, which he had to do many, many times, but he can't do it by himself. So I think getting rid of him is not going to derail this defense in any way, shape, or form. Will there be a presence miss? Absolutely. T'Vondre Sweat was an elite run stuffing defender, and we are going to miss that and going to need to replace it. But guys, this is something that you can replace a lot easier than pass rush help. If you guys remember a guy who the Titans had before T'Vondre Sweat, a guy named Tier Tart, if you guys remember him, he just had a great season with the Los Angeles Chargers. A better season even than T'Vondre Sweat. He was an undrafted free agent, and the Titans have made a living off of guys like that. If there's anything to praise John Robinson about, is he was able to find undrafted free agent guys on the defensive line. That was a specialty of his. He was really, really good at it. All those rotation guys, that's what kind of led to us having a really good defense in 2019. So we can find guys late in the draft, undrafted free agency. We can replace the T'Vondre Sweat role. I'm not saying these guys are going to be top 5 at run stuffing, but if we have a guy who's top 5 in run stuffing and we're still not a good run defense, then why are we using the second round pick on that guy? You know what I mean? Especially when Jermaine Johnson, the 49ers tried to trade for him in the middle of the season, this most recent season, and they wanted they offered a 3rd round pick for him, and the Jets said no. So that should tell you right there the value that he holds. The Jets see him as worth a 2nd round pick or higher, and we just sent them T'Vondre Sweat, who the Titans took with the 38th overall pick. So ultimately, I think that I like the move. I don't think it's. Some people are saying we fleeced the Jets. I don't agree with that because, for one, Jermaine Johnson's coming off of an Achilles tear, which is already dangerous territory. He only had 3 sacks last year, so it's not a fleece, but we got a quality starter. So just that in itself, there's no reason to be upset with that. T'Vondre Sweat, I don't think was ever going to get a 2nd contract from Mike Bergonzi. He was a Rand Carthon guy. He went a little higher than most people had him on their draft boards after the DUI situation and some maturity questions going into the draft. So we already kind of got him a little higher than what he probably should have gone. And to go from that to thinking he was going to get a 2nd contract with this regime, this would be his 2nd head coach, his 2nd GM. Odds are we were never re-signing him after 4 years. And so it's better to get a quality starter. And if Jermaine Johnson is good, we're playing him on his 5th-year option this year. We're at $13 million against the cap. And then, if he's good, you re-sign him. And now we have a quality starter for the next 3 to 4 years. He's still really young. He's a former 1st-round pick. He fits the timeline with Cam Ward, and they're trying to go make this deep playoff run. And so I think that there's really not a whole lot to lose in this situation. We can find replacements for Sweat's role. Maybe not as good, but we can find a replacement. And then the worst case, you trade it for a guy, try to get Salah's guy. If he doesn't work, you wash your hands free of him this offseason. They should not extend. I am very against extending Jermaine Johnson. I've heard some people say that. They're not going to play him on 1 year. They better. This needs to be a proven year. So Jermaine Johnson better not be on anything but this 1 year, his 5th-year option. And then we'll see how he does, and then we can decide if we want to extend him. But yeah, that's the worst. We get rid of him. We don't re-sign him, essentially. And then the Titans get a comp pick. They'll get like a day 3. It'll be a 4th or 5th round compensation pick if we don't re-sign him. So we'll at least get a pick back for him if we don't decide to bring him back past this upcoming season. So that's just kind of my overall take on the T'Vondre Sweat, Jermaine Johnson situation. I think it was a very good move. Bergonzi, I honestly thought that if we were going to move Sweat, it was going to be for no higher than a 4th or 5th round pick. So to get a starter out of it, and now we don't have to spend a crazy amount of money to go get an edge for at least one starting edge position is a good thing. So definitely calm your guys' nerves on that, guys. I think that Bergonzi cooked with that. I don't think we fleeced anybody, but I think honestly both sides can see the benefits. And we got a quality starter at edge at our biggest need, in my opinion. So how could you be possibly mad at that? So that's just my take on that. Next is just my overall reaction to the combine. I am a firm believer that this draft class is not very good. It's kind of tough, and that's what kind of sucks. They for the Titans to be as bad as they've been these last couple of years, because like why couldn't they be awful when the Caleb Williams and the Drake Mays of the world, were up there, or we were bad, the year the run of quarterbacks with Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud and Richardson, the Will Levis year. Why couldn't we be picking top four and all that? Because I think that's where Will Anderson went, was like the fourth pick and all this and that. So it's like, man, I would have killed to be bad during those times, so we could get those quality players. But so it's just kind of tough. And so ultimately, just looking at some of the guys, how they performed at the combine, and it's going to kind of lead to my next topic with Jeremiah Love. But I mean, in my opinion, he's by far the best player in this draft. I thought that before the combine. Certainly after, I think he is definitely the number one player. I think Fernando Mendoza was really, really good. But would I rather have him or Cam Ward? Give me Cam Ward all day. I'll take the traits of Cam Ward, the dog in Cam Ward. Not to say Mendoza won't be a good player. It's just that I just think his ceiling is so much higher than what a Mendoza's can be, that I'm very happy that we had the first overall pick last year and not the fourth overall pick. I'm glad we had the first overall pick last year and not the fourth compared to this year, because it would have been it would have been a mess had we had our roles flipped. If we had the fourth pick last year and the first pick this year, it would have kind of got dicey. So, but ultimately, I think the edges, I think highly of all three of those edges: Arvell Reese, David Bailey, and Ruben Bain. I just don't think that they're going to be all-world type of players. The Aiden Hutchinsons, Myles Garrett's, Von Millers, the Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa's of the world. And so it's just kind of tough. It's like, do we want to reach for a player just because they are one of the best players in this draft? But if they're not going to hold their end of the deal compared to their, fellow companions once they get to the league, do we really want to draft Ruben Bain at 4 if he's going to at max ever be the 16th best defensive end, or even 12th best? Just a non-elite guy. I think he can be a really good edge rusher, better than most. But I don't think he'll be an elite. All three of them, I don't think, will be elite prospects. So it's like, do you want to reach for that? Is that really what we want to strive for? And I just don't know. So I think Sonny Styles is such a good player, man. I'm a big believer in Caleb Downs. I've been a big fan of his since his freshman year at Ohio State. I love Caleb Downs. Just where the Titans are at right now, they're not going to be drafting him. But I just think that there was a lot of good. I think these guys are the most athletic athletes we've ever seen in our lives. When we turn on the tape, just the consensus is this is a really, really rough draft. If you're needing like high-end talent like the Titans need all over their roster. So just overall, I'm just kind of on the combine. So when people bring up stats from the combine and what their numbers are, I'm just kind of like, this guy ran a 4.4, but his tape is not explaining that. His tape is not making up for it, essentially. And Carnell Tate's one of them. I think he's a really good player. I think he'll be a good player. Again, just not elite. I can. People are comparing him. I saw some Titans fans saying that somebody brought up that he'll be the next Corey Davis, and I think he'll be better than Corey Davis was. But again, I don't think he's in the Jamar Chase type of world. Who's a top 10 pick, and so it's certainly not a top 4 man. The guy didn't do himself no favors. Running like a 4.52 or 4.53. At the combine. Jordan Tyson still injured from a hamstring. He's broke his collarbone, torn an ACL. That's a lot of injuries. Again, they're all over the place, so it's not like it's one injury consistently lingering, but just, I don't know. I think the Caleb Farley situation really scars me when it comes to these guys who've been hurt a lot and, it just seems like they haven't played a ton, at least recently. And so, I'm a little hesitant on taking a receiver at 4. So that goes right into my next topic, which is Jeremiah Love, man. Like, if the Titans want to take him at 4, I'm going to be cool with it. Will I be scared? Yeah, a little. Yeah, I will be scared a little bit. Because, dude, a running back, that's not, for as far as positional value, that's not how they recommend building your team. That's not how most of the best teams in the NFL built them, through taking top running backs in the top 5 of the draft. But he's the best player, man. And if you can get the best player at 4, I mean, I can't be mad at you. Now, do I think that's what Borgonzi and them will do? I don't. But if they do, I will not be mad. And honestly, I'm all for it. I mean, that is a weapon for Cam Ward. That's another weapon. And to be honest, I don't know how much the Titans enjoy these wide receivers in this draft. I think there's not a whole lot of. I think you kind of have like your main 3, right? You have Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and Mekhi Lemon. I think those are the 3 receivers that'll go off the board first. Maybe Tyson will fall because of his injuries. But man, I think outside of that, there's not a huge difference. I think Omar Cooper is another guy who's getting some love right now, who might jump up into the first round. But just as a prospect, he's still not on the same level. When those other guys are fully healthy and ready to compete, I don't think that Cooper is on the level of Jordan Tyson fully healthy, nor Tate, nor Lemon. And so if 4 is too rich for those other 3 receivers, the 3 main receivers, and then there's not a whole lot of difference in the guys who would probably go anywhere from 2nd round to 4th round, I could really see the Titans being like, hey, let's just get Cam a weapon. This guy is the best player in the draft. A good running back is a weapon for a young quarterback. Let's go ahead and just get it for him. It's going to be expensive because running backs are typically cheaper. So if you're getting one super high in the draft, he's already going to be near the top of what running backs get paid. So that's a major flaw in that scale. But again, I could definitely see them doing that, because I'll be honest, man. I think we're going to go get for obviously a big time free agent, either Wan'Dale Robinson or Alec Pierce. And then I think Titans fans are going to be setting themselves up to be a little disappointed. I think the Titans aren't going to spend a whole lot of resources elsewhere outside of that one big splash. I think maybe a tight end or 2 that most people have heard of. You know, David Njoku's of the world float around, possibly Jonnu Smith. We may just bring back Chig. But outside of that, I don't think a whole lot of resources in free agency are going to be brought in as actual pass catchers to help Cam Ward. And so I could see Jeremiah Love being the pick. And then that's really the main investment, you know, outside of Wan'Dale or Alec Pierce, towards helping Cam Ward. The rest of it's going to be filling out Robert Saleh's defense and really trying to build through the draft. So I just want fans to be prepared for that, prepared to be a little disappointed. I think they're going to get their one splash guy, and it's going to be like, hey, we believe in Brian Daboll getting the best out of Cam. Year 2 of Chim DK, year 2 of Alec Almaner. We're going to give him Jeremiah Love and Wan'Dale Robinson or Alec Pierce, whichever one they go with. Another tight end, a year 2 of Gunnar Helm, and just roll. And I think that's just what we're going to have to be okay with for this upcoming season. I do think they're going to get him some more help eventually, maybe trade for a receiver, maybe even mid-season. But I think to start the season, our roster is going to be a little underwhelming. I'm really hoping they keep Calvin Ridley, because I think they're going to need it. Ultimately, I think they're going to need him and Pierce or Robinson. I think they'll certainly add a receiver. I just don't know if they go Love for sure at 4. They're going corner edge at 35, I would assume, or they're trading back at 35. I think that's a prime spot for the Titans to trade back, kind of like they did last year. Actually, exactly, they were at pick 35 last year. They're going to trade back, I think, again, and into like the 50s and pick up an extra pick in the 60s. And then just go pick 50, 60, their own pick in the 60s. And then they have pick 101 in the top of the 4th round. And then I think they're going to take some edge, maybe some O-line depth or a safety, because we need a 3rd safety, or double up at corner. Just prepare yourself for the Titans to not pick a receiver until pick 101, just like last year. I'm just telling you guys, if they do, great. I hope they do, to be honest. I want them to take a receiver, but I just would not get your hopes up that they take a receiver before pick 101. So just know that that's in there. I want this on record, because when it happens, I'm going to be like, guys, I tried to tell you. Pick 101 is where I'm thinking they may pick a receiver, so especially if they don't trade back at 35. So I think a receiver has to fall, like a Jordan Tyson with the injury situation, or somehow Omar Cooper is still there from Indiana, because I think he's a foregone conclusion to go in the bottom of the 1st round now. So if he's still there, I could see them pulling trigger on him, but I just don't think that even if they go edge, at 4. They take one of the edge guys. Do not be surprised to see them take corner, or a position we weren't even thinking of at 35. And then with their third round pick, they go corner again or another position, O-line depth, or a line, but whatever. Safety, I think safety is a sleeper. I think that they would like a third safety, and so if you're going to take one and not pay one a big money because you have Kevin Winston and Amani Hooker, then you draft one. And so I could see that. I could see safety being a sleeper pick in the top 3 rounds if they have to go kind of unconventional. That's not Jeremiah Love. It's safety is what I could see them doing. So that's just overall kind of what I'm thinking as far as when it comes to the draft and what could be at play here. There's just so many holes. Thank you, John Robinson, and kind of default. Thank you, Rand Carthon. He put a lot of band-aids, but their band-aids all ripped off on this roster. So there's just not a whole lot of positions you feel good at. So the Titans need help everywhere, ultimately. So hopefully they can get back to they can sign some really, really good free agents that can be here for a while, that are worth their contract. The L'Jarius Sneed trade was not worth it. Cushenberry was a surprise. Him getting cut was kind of crazy. I thought he would still be on the team, but I guess he maybe just wasn't healthy enough, or they just thought Corey Levin did just as good as he did when he was out, and so they're like, we got to look for more. So there'll be some news on that as well. But yeah, man, there's just so many holes on this roster that can't all be fixed this offseason. And so, it was always going to take more than 2 off seasons to kind of fix this. Last offseason, we got a quarterback. Number one thing, I'm a full believer in Cam Ward. I think he's going to be really, really good. But he's flawed. He's not a perfect prospect. He's not a perfect quarterback whatsoever. Was not the greatest rookie season we've ever seen by any stretch of the matter. But I think he'll be a really, really good player. And ultimately, I just think he needs some more help. So, speaking of help, my next topic is going to be this wide receiver free agency. And so, look, this is going to piss some people off, but I'm just going straight forward. The Titans need to be prioritizing Wan'Dale Robinson over Alec Pierce. Okay? Look, I get it. Alec Pierce, elite deep ball player, right? Elite. Like, he's so good at it. But here's the thing. That's a weakness for Cam Ward. As much as I love Cam Ward, he is not the greatest accurate thrower of the ball down the field, especially deep and outside. And so if Alec Pierce, if his main and really, I don't want to say only, but just about like the main thing you're attracted to about him as a receiver is his ability to go get the ball deep down the field. And if our quarterback, that's something he struggles at, yeah, yes, that in theory does help him. But if Cam is super inaccurate, then what are we paying Alec Pierce? 26, 27, 28? I'm hearing rumors of $30 million for Alec Pierce. What are we paying $30 million for? And you are just a deep ball merchant. And then the reason, my biggest issue with it, I'm looking down because I'm having his stats up here. So as a rookie, he had 41 catches for 593 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sophomore year, he had 32 catches for 514 yards, 2 touchdowns. Third year, 37 catches for 824 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's when his deep ball really took off with Anthony Richardson. That was 22.3 yards per catch, which I cannot deny. That's crazy. That is crazy. And then last year, 47 catches for 1,003 yards, averaging 21.3 yards per catch and 6 touchdowns. That is elite. That's elite deep ball catching. That 21 yards per reception is crazy. And he got over that 1,000 because everyone sees them 4 digits. And I think that's really what it is. You telling me if this guy went for 45 catches, and he's averaging 21 yards a carry, or 21 yards a catch. So if you take away 2 of his catches, I'm not trying to hate on him, but if he just went, I feel like if he went 45 catches for 920 yards and 5 touchdowns, I feel like we'd just be like, 30 million is way too late, But it's the fact that he went for over 1,000 yards, had over 5 touchdowns, it's just more appealing to the eye. And I think a lot of people say, ooh, flashy plays. He's mossing guys. He is. He's a really good athlete. Former second-round pick. So he's had the pedigree. But man, I don't know. I just find it hard to be super excited over that guy, especially for what his contract is supposed to be, over a guy in Wan'Dale Robinson who just had more yards than him. And I mean, let's look at this. Wan'Dale Robinson, right? So his rookie year, not big factor. He only played 6 games, 23 catches, 227 yards, 1 touchdown. So throw away his rookie year. He didn't do much. Sophomore year, 60 catches, already over 10 more than Alec Pierce has ever had. This is his second season after a disappointing sophomore, after having a disappointing rookie season. Keep in mind, who was the quarterback for the Giants in 2023? Daniel Jones. Who was the quarterback for the Colts last year? Daniel Jones. So I've also heard that too. The argument for Alec Pierce is he's played with bad quarterbacks. Wan'Dale Robinson had the same guy. He had the exact same quarterback. And in his sophomore year, on an even worse Giants team, he had 60 catches for 525 yards, 1 touchdown. The next year, 93 receptions for 699 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, that's not a whole lot of yards for that many receptions. That's 7.5 yards a catch. So that's a whole lot of underneath. But this is a guy, but think about it. To have 93 catches on 140 targets, you know how often you have to be getting open for the quarterback to be throwing you the ball 93 times? Well, really, they threw it to him 140, but he caught 93. Then the next season with Jackson Dart, Winston, and Russell Wilson, like a combo of 3. So really not a really a stable quarterback situation for Wan'Dale last year. 92 catches for 1,014 yards and 4 touchdowns. This is a guy back-to-back 90 reception seasons, man. And he had 11 yards per catch this year. So he upped it. This is by far his best year. He had the most touchdowns, the most yards, almost the same amount of receptions. And he had the most receptions, most yards per reception at 11. So overall, Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't know. I just think that the Titans had a lot of issues with sustaining drives last year. How many times do we see them get to the 50-yard line or get just past the 50? There are, balls on the opposing 42, 43-yard line. And then it's 3rd and 3, and Cam Ward has nowhere to throw the ball, and he's getting sacked or he throws it away. I feel like we saw that all season long. They had no problem getting to the 50-yard line. It's just after that, the defense tightens up, and then all of a sudden you need somewhere to go with the ball, and guys were not getting open. Some of it was on Cam Ward. Cam wasn't finding the open guy. He wasn't throwing the ball fast enough. The offensive line couldn't hold up long enough. But a lot of it was guys not getting open, and Wan'Dale Robinson is consistently getting open. 92 catches, 93 the last year. That's an insane amount of targets. And you can't be like, yeah, obviously Malik Neighbors got hurt. But Malik Neighbors was there last year, and this guy still had 93 catches. So you can't even say that. And I heard someone else on Twitter saying that look at the quarterbacks that Pierce has had to, deal with. He's like, how can he get the ball? Well, here's the thing, man. Look at a guy like Josh Downs, his teammate. He's had no problem getting the ball. He was a 3rd-round pick. He was picked a year after Pierce. He had 68 catches as a rookie. 72 2 years ago. 58 last year. He still had more receptions than him last year. And Josh Downs is a good player, but I don't think he's all world. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to say that Michael Pittman, was the quote unquote their number 1 receiver, so he's going to get a bulk of the receptions. But just since Alec Pierce has been in the league, Michael Pittman had 99 catches in 2022, 109 catches, 68 and 80 last year. So Alec Pierce got the 3rd most receptions out of the receivers just on the Colts alone. Daniel Jones had no problem finding Michael Pittman and Josh Downs, not for the same amount of yards because he's going for deep balls, but even their rookie tight end, Warren, he had 76 receptions last year. So Tyler Warren has no problem getting open. Why has Alec Pierce never hit 50 receptions in his entire career? We can't blame it all on Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz or whoever, Minshew, whoever these guys have. These guys are getting open. They have no problem getting receptions. So obviously Anthony Richardson's another guy I forgot to mention. But yeah, these other guys have no problem getting open. So why is it that Alec Pierce is the one that can't get open? Is just my question. So I would much rather lean towards Wan'Dale Robinson. Just my overall opinion. I think that he's a chain mover. He's going to consistently get open no matter what, and that's really what Cam Ward needs. If it's breaking down, if the pocket's breaking down, who can I go to? Oh, Wan'Dale Robinson's right there. He's right there. He's consistently running these intermediate to small routes. He's doing the. I mean, they're running the Patriots' old system with Tom Brady and the Wes Welkers and the Julian Edelmans. Like they're going to be quick routes to get these guys open. Chain move. What was Tom Brady so good at? Moving the chain. I mean, he was a death by 1,000 cuts. And for a guy who's not the most accurate in Cam Ward, that's perfect. If he's throwing these intermediate, these 5 to 8 yard routes, and Wan'Dale Robinson's consistently getting open, Tim DK takes the next step, takes the top off the defense, and becomes a better route runner. There's your deep ball right there. And if we retain Calvin Ridley, there's another guy who can get open with speed. He's a good route runner. Up until this year, has really had pretty good hands. So that's how you can start to piece this together. I think that if we have Alec Pierce, man, and he doesn't get open on any route that's not a go route, I feel like we're in the same situation again. Unless Chim DK or Alec Alexander take this massive step in year 2, we're in the same boat. All you have to do, put a safety help over Alec Pierce. He's going to catch less than 50 yards or less than 50 receptions a season. So all the defense got to worry about is, let's make sure this guy doesn't get, massive yards down the field. He's not a possession catcher by any means. And then the Titans were kind of in the same spot they were last year. So overall, Wan'Dale Robinson, especially for the money, he's still going to get paid probably over $20 million, which is steep. But for a guy who had back-to-back seasons, over 90 catches, just went over 1,000 yards, I can't be too mad at that. So, for the first show, this is, it's getting on the longer side, about 40-ish minutes or so. So just to wrap up, I just want to bring up, obviously the Titans have a jersey reveal coming up. And, I just want to get my take out there on this too. I like the Flames. I've never been, one to be thinking like the Titans had like the greatest logo, in the history of sports or even in the NFL. But I like it. It was ours. It was my team, so I was going to back it. But yeah, when you see other teams, when you see it on the hat and, other apparel, like it is awkward because it's not, asymmetrical. It's not right down the middle. The Flames usually are kind of hanging off, and it is weird. So I'm not mad that they're going to a more, I guess, circular, look. The T, I think they could have gone with a better logo. I personally would have preferred the sword. I think that why not lean into the kind of the Athens, the Greek mythology of it all. You're the Titans, for goodness sake. So why not lean into it? I always wish they called our stadium, as you can see behind me, the Coliseum. I think that would be so dope. Really lean into really lean into that. But I guess they're not going to. And on top of that, they're going away from the Navy. I like being the two-tone blue. I'm wearing Titans gear right now. I like the Navy. But I'm not married to it. I think the Oilers colors are by far better. So I'm okay with it. I will say, for the jerseys though, because it sounds like there's a rumor that the Navy actually might be coming back now. I was kind of getting used to it. I'm like, all right, we're going to be the Oilers. The logo takes some getting used to, but once you see down some mock helmets and stuff, not bad. I can live with it. But now with the, the little reveal they made with the Navy stars on it, to me, that doesn't make sense. Now we're going backwards. Now you either should have committed or not at all. Like either we're still the two-tone blue Titans and that needs to be part of the logo, or scrap it and we're the Oilers colors as the Titans. But trying to do the Navy stars, but the logo is just only going to be Titans blue in red and white, and then the jerseys have little accents of Navy. But to me, that's doing too much. That's too many colors. You got red in there and 2 different blues and white, and the part of the Titans tee is gray. Like that's doing too much. Like they need to pick a lane and stay with it. So I'm kind of holding my breath here for this March 12th reveal when it comes to the jerseys. I feel like they're gonna screw it up. Once I saw the Navy stars on the Titans blue jersey or whatever the heck that piece of clothing was that they put on those billboards in Nashville. Oh my gosh, man. I'm just like, they're gonna miss the mark on this, aren't they? They're gonna blow it. Like the logo is gonna take some getting used to. But I felt like once we saw those Oilers looking colors and it's just gonna feel like the old Titans again. Jersey that everyone loved. Everyone loves the Titans, the Oilers jerseys. So I mean, all you got to do is just get used to the logo and just gonna say Titans instead of Oilers. That's gonna be fire. That's gonna be so fire. But now we're playing both sides. We're kind of the Oilers, but we're kind of the Titans, and it's just more ammo for people in Houston to, try to say that, we shouldn't own the jerseys and all this. It's like, guys, the Oilers are part of the Titans' history. Let's just go back to it then. I'm fine with that. We're still the Titans. Have Oilers colors. Best of both worlds. You take the name of the place where you moved to. We're still the Titans, but we're going back to the old Oilers jerseys. Fine. But now we're doing the navy with the old Oilers, and pick a lane, man. That's what leaves it up to interpretation. That's why Houston still thinks that they can get a piece of the pie. That's why the University of Houston wore those ridiculous. I mean, they looked nice because they were like the Love You Blue, but that's ridiculous that a college is wearing old NFL team lookalikes when that team doesn't even play in that city anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but that's why they feel like City of Houston feels so tied to it still, is that the Titans haven't like really fully committed it, almost, it feels like, from an organization standpoint. The fans, certainly, we love the Oilers. We claim them all the way. Like, Houston can get out of here with that nonsense. The Oilers belong to the Titans. All their former players belong in Tennessee Titans history. All their records, all that is with the Titans. Warren Moon is a Tennessee Titan. He's not a Houston Texan. He doesn't belong to the city of Houston. He's a Tennessee Titan. He's an Oiler that is now the Tennessee Titans. But this, trying to play both sides, we're still the two-tone blue, but we're the Oilers, and all this and that is to me is just doing too much. So that's ultimately my take on the whole thing. So hopefully it looks nice. I'll be kind of holding my breath, but I was starting to be okay with it. I wasn't a big fan of the logo at first, especially knowing that the sword wasn't going to be the main logo. I guess it still could be, but I highly doubt it after what the reveal that we've already seen. So I highly doubt that that'll be the main logo. And they're not doing the Greek mythology, so that kind of sucks. Like, we're not doing really anything with. I hope they still do something with the swords. But we'll see how it all plays out. But that's gonna actually do it for me today, guys. I'm super excited. I've been delaying this for the longest, but it is almost free agency time. This is the most important free agency to me in Tennessee Titans history. This is the most important free agency period in Tennessee Titans history. De facto new GM. I know Bergonzi was here last year, but he didn't have the real power. Chad Brinker was his boss. He's the boss now. First year being the guy. Robert Saleh, new head coach, new jerseys, new stadium the following year. We have a franchise quarterback, one we haven't had since McNair, for a real one, because Vince Young was gone so quickly. Man, like, how could you not be excited? So I'm super excited to have this platform. Again, I'm gonna try to keep it not too long. But I listen to all different types of Titans podcasts because I have a longer commute when it comes to going to work, and so I listen to a lot of stuff. So that's how I kind of came up with the idea for Titans Traffic, because I'm sitting in traffic listening to Titans stuff all the time, listening to Titans fans give their opinion. I'm like, you know what, man, I definitely can do this, and I want a space where everybody can feel like they can be heard and we can have a good conversation. So please like and subscribe. Drop some comments in there. I'm gonna be posting this on not Facebook, sorry, but Twitter. I do have an Instagram, so I'll be putting some little snippets here and there on there as well. But yeah, if you guys happen to find this content, man, please share this. Like I said, this is for us. This isn't just for me. This is for us to have a spot where we can come together and just type Titans ball, man. I love this team. I'm super excited. There's been no better time, in my opinion, to be a Titans fan than right now. So much newness. Is it all going to work out? I have no idea, man. But it almost can't get worse than what it's been. So I'm going to choose to be positive about it. And I want to bring that positivity with you guys. So ultimately, this is my first show. Hope it didn't seem like it. Hope it seems like I've been doing this for a while. But love you guys. Tighten up. Let's go.